Hey everyone, it's Hugh Sweeney here and I'm back tonight with a brand new video about the highly anticipated R5 mirrorless camera from Canon. Yes indeed, only recently, about a week or so ago, the camera was announced that it was going to be released this year, probably this summer. So in this video I'm going to tell you all about what I think of this camera and why you should probably buy it. Okay everyone, let me start off the video by giving a little shout out to the unofficial sponsor of the video, who are Sanmark filters, okay? These are 82mm filters that come in this little pouch. There's 3 filters in there. There's a 16 and there's a 32 and there's a 64, and I've been using them and they're absolutely fantastic. Check them out, they're really slimline and they give a great image, and I love these filters, and you can buy the 3 of these for about 100 euros I think. So check them out, Sanmark filters. Okay, so that is the sponsor, and now let's get on with the video. So why am I excited about the new R5 camera? The number one reason I'm really excited is because I have the EosR. I've been using it for about a year and a half now, and it's been very effective. Now I also have the S1 from Panasonic, and I really like the S1, but I found myself using the EosR a hell of a lot. Even in commercial situations, I found myself using the EosR because it gives a beautiful image and the autofocus is just unbeatable. It's just amazing. When you're a one-man operation like me and you're using 2 cameras and you just want one of them to be autofocused on a subject, you just can leave the EosR, you can trust it. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited about the new one, is the fact that the EosR is quite a good camera. And when it was released, a lot of people were, they were saying negative things. And I must admit, when I got the EosR, the first couple of weeks, I was actually kind of regretting it. I was regretting not getting a Sony, or regretting not getting another camera like a Blackmagic pocket camera. But now, over a year later, I'm really happy that I got the camera. So let's look at some of the things about the EOS R5, the newer one that's going to be coming out. Physically, it looks very like the EosR, the current EosR, which I'm looking at right now. It's got a very similar form factor. If it was a little bit bigger, I would actually be quite happy, because with the EosR, I use the adapter and I use a lot of heavy lenses, and with the adapter, it sort of throws the lenses out front. And I do find that the body of the EosR is a little bit small. With the new one, I'm hoping that they make it slightly bigger, but physically it looks to be pretty much exactly the same. Now they have got rid of that little ribbon controller on the back. Nobody seemed to like that, so it'll be interesting to see if they have a different dial put in there or something. But all in all, as I said, it looks the same. And I think the current EosR is a lovely looking camera. It's a very smooth, slick looking DSLR mirrorless. So I think the big thing really with the EOS R5 is the fact that it's a much higher resolution sensor. It's 45 megapixels, which is quite a big step up from the current EosR, which shoots in a 30 megapixel image. I think 45 is a lot. You might benefit from it doing product videos. You're gonna need some serious lenses. I hope that doesn't affect the image in low light, because the more resolution you have on the sensor generally means that the Canon may struggle a little bit more in low light, because the pixels are of course smaller and they're going to let in less light. But hopefully Canon have combated that, and hopefully it'll be okay in low light. Obviously it's an 8K camera. 8K is a huge resolution, and jumping from the current EosR 4K to the new one, which is going to be 8K, is like a pretty big jump. It's kind of like Peter Jackson when he made Lord of the Rings. Before that he made movies like Bad Taste and Brain Dead, real low budget movies, and then he went to making Lord of the Rings. That's what Canon has done here with the EOS R. They've actually done a big jump. I would rather see them just do 4K really well, 4K at a really nice high bit rate, 4K in full frame, and 4K up to 120 frames per second would be really good. Even 60, if they could do 60 in full frame, 4K, I would prefer that than 8K cropped or something like that. So that's only my opinion, but it's an 8K camera, which is very interesting. And it'll also be interesting to see how they can output that to devices such as the Atomos Ninja and stuff like that, okay? Another thing people are very excited about is the fact that this is going to be Canon's first camera that's got in-body stabilization. Apparently some people are saying the new stabilization in the EOS R5 is going to be sweet. It's going to be quite good, so let's hope it is, because that's a big deal. With in-body stabilization, you end up just doing so much stuff handheld, and it really speeds up your workflow. And stabilization in lenses isn't quite the same as in-body stabilization. I know it varies from lens to lens. Certain lenses are much better, but I think that a lot of lens stabilization is kind of geared towards photography a little bit more than video. So I think the in-body stabilization may be better for the video guys. And I think that's a big thing. Canon have done a lot of big things with this camera, so I'm really excited about it. And to be honest with you, I really want to get it. So another thing I really love about the EOS R5, and which makes it really enticing to purchase, is the fact that Canon have invested seriously in this new format, these new lenses, these new R lenses. And even though they don't have that many lenses available currently now, the ones that they do have are pretty amazing. You know, lenses like the 24-70, which is stabilized, and then you have a 28-70 f2, which isn't stabilized. Very expensive lenses, but those lenses are amazing. And you have the 50mm as well. You also have, you know, the new 70-200 plus one or two wider lenses in there. So, you know, you don't really need that many lenses. And if you want, you can get an adapter, which I have for my EF lenses. So, you know, an existing Canon user can adapt their lenses and then save up for the new ones. But I think all in all, those new lenses are pretty amazing. And I think that you're gonna have a nice system. They've also mentioned that the battery might be larger capacity. I don't know if that means the actual battery itself is gonna change. If they made a bigger battery, that would be nice, but that would mean that if you had an existing EosR or another Canon that has that LP6 battery, you couldn't interswap batteries. If they make a higher capacity battery in the same size, that would be great as well. So hopefully the battery life would be good. I don't know if shooting 8K what it's going to be like. I'm sure it's going to suck power, but I think that if shooting 4K and all that, I think the battery life is going to be great in this camera. So another feature coming to the camera is the 12 frames per second shutter, which is considerably faster than the current Canon EosR, which is it 9 or is it 7? It's not that fast. And I have shot with the EosR birds. I've shot a lot of birds. I've actually shot more birds flying lately than anything else. And I have found that the EosR is not a very good wildlife camera. It just isn't. Forget about it. It's not. When you do get the image in focus, and when you get close enough to the wildlife and stuff, it'll give you a lovely image. The fact that it's a mirrorless camera, the blackout, and it's a little bit slower, I think it's difficult to focus on birds in flight and stuff. So hopefully this new 12 frames per second thing with the new R5 will help you sort of track subjects that are moving, and it'll do 20 as well. It'll do 20 digitally. So a digital shutter, 20 frames per second. So I hope that works out well. And if it does, I think with the 45 megapixel sensor, the new CMOS sensor in there, I think it could be a good wildlife camera because that's a lot of resolution. And you got to remember, when you're shooting birds and wildlife, you tend to crop into the image a lot. So the more resolution you have, the better. So I'm very excited about that aspect of the camera. A lot of people are saying they'd love to see CFast cards. I do believe CFast are the fastest cards. I would prefer if it was something a little bit more robust than the SD cards that we're all too used to. It's not a very big camera, so I think fitting in the CFast card is going to be difficult. So let's hope for the best there. So a few things that I just like to talk about with the release of the new R5 EosR, and a few things that I'm kind of worried about. Okay, now let me explain to you. I love the Canon EosR camera. I've used it for a year and a half. It's brilliant. I would shoot everything with it. But there are times when I cannot use it. And those times are when the light is poor. That's why I absolutely love this camera, the S1. Now, if you don't believe me, go and watch a film that I uploaded recently called Christmas in O'Connell's. It was a video in a pub, and I shot lots of footage in a very poorly lit environment. I banged up the ISO of the S1 to 4000 and it was clean as a whistle. I couldn't have done that job with the EosR. I just couldn't, unless I brought in some lights. So I am a little bit worried about the EOS R5, how it's gonna be in low light. I think that could be one of the downfalls of the camera, especially that it's got that super high resolution sensor. I could be holding on to my S1. So another thing that I think could be a negative with the release of the EOS R5 is the rolling shutter. Any sort of movement with long lenses and you're looking at serious jello effect. So I think the new one, I can't see it being much better, but hopefully it'll be better. But again, like the low light thing, it's something that I'm a little bit concerned about. Another little positive negative is the dynamic range. The EosR is sort of just about acceptable dynamic range, I think. It's not bad, but it's not good. I would like to see a better dynamic range in the new EOS R5. I don't know if it's going to be better, like with the low light, but hopefully it will. So that's another little thing I'm concerned about. File formats, oh dear. File formats. The current EosR shoots in an MP4 format. It'll give you 8-bit internally. I can't see the new one giving you anything other than 8-bit internally. and an MP4 H.264, 265 format. I doubt it's going to be ProRes. It'll be interesting to see how it'll work with devices like Atomos. Will Atomos team up with them and, you know, make a device that will let you record 8K out? That would be something nice to see. Speaking of 8K out, even 4K out, 6K out, what sort of connection is going to be in this? The current EosR has the mini HDMI port. I've been lucky with it so far. I've used a very light cable and I've had no issues with it, but it'd be nice to see them, you know, send a signal down through the mini USB port or have a different, slightly more robust connection there. Of course, we'd all like to see this camera record internally in RAW. I somehow doubt it'll happen. It would be lovely to see, you know, especially with those, you know, if they have a CFast card in there that's capable of capturing RAW. Now you'd wonder why, you know, Canon, they've got the 1DX Mark III just released, so they're not going to want to shoot themselves in the foot. The 1DX3 has some really good features in video. So maybe they're going to take the cripple hammer out for this new EOS R5. Even though it's going to do 8K, they might cripple it in certain areas so that they will entice certain buyers to go for the 1DX. Even though that's sort of a different camera, that's more of a professional sports photographer's camera. So I think this camera is going to be ideal for a lot of people. It's got a huge spectrum of users that it's going to attract. Straight up, it's going to be a pro photographer's camera, a really good product photographer's camera, really good all-around photography camera, even wildlife photography camera. I think people are going to have this new R5 and they're going to have a backup of Canon EOS R as well. And then you have the video element. The Canon EOS R has really proven itself. It's a fantastic video camera. So the new one is bound to be even better. So you're going to have high-end pro video users after this camera as well. You know, handheld stuff. You're going to have YouTubers, all these Peter McKinnons and Matties and, you know, potato jets and even camera conspiracies, you know, and the everyday dad, if I can do it, you can do it too. All these guys are going to be ranting the hell out of this camera, and myself as well. So it's going to be a really big YouTuber's camera. I think this camera is going to do really well. In regards to price then with this camera, you know, some people are saying that it's going to be very expensive, up about $7,000 or $8,000. I've even seen people mention that it's going to be $10,000. I don't think Canon are going to do that, you know, because it's the same form factor as the current EOS R, and the current EOS R can be bought for in and around $2,000. Some people have seen them for $1,500, and here in Europe, I think it's about 2,000 euros. But I think ballpark figure, I would say this is going to be in and around 3.5 grand, be it dollars or euro. Quite a bit more expensive than the current EOS R, but still nowhere near, you know, the 1DX mark. So that is it on the R5 from me. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks to everyone so far for watching my YouTube videos and subscribing to me. And apologies for not having done more videos lately, folks, because I had 1 or 2 work assignments on and I just had to put in so many hours. Got through it now and I'm going to take some time off and focus on getting some YouTube videos up there. So bear with me. As I do say before, there's more videos on the way, and please subscribe. Check me out on the socials as well, Instagram and Facebook and all that. I'll put the links down below. And until next time, it's over and out from me, and goodbye.